Hello, welcome to the showcase. My name is Sean Martin, and I've got 45 years' experience in the field of entertainment. I'm here to share with you some of the greatest talents and experience in Clubland. We do this by learning from each other. I'd like to ask you, please subscribe to my channel to be able to help me bring you more great content like this. Now, my next guest, episode 23, is a gentleman that's storming Clubland, Publand, whatever you want to call it. Please welcome Simon Frederick Stevens.
Good afternoon. Welcome.
It's afternoon in the UK. Good afternoon. How are you?
I'm very well, thank you, Sean. How are you?
I'm very well, and thank you for coming on the podcast, Simon. I'd like to ask you some questions before we get to your finale, where you are now. At what age did you really get into the music? What did you think that you were going to get into the music business?
I was really, really young. I guess maybe 6, 7 years old.
Wow.
My mum bought me a little classical guitar, and I just thought, this is it. And, I knew at that point then that I wanted to be somewhere in the music business, really.
I think, most people would say, like, that's my kind of story. Well, I got my first guitar, and once you play it, you think that's it. That's what I want to do. So talk us through, Simon, how long did it take you to learn to play the guitar?
Well, I guess looking back, guitar club at primary school, playing real simple chord progressions, then moving on to junior school, having guitar lessons with Ron Hales, and then still not really getting into the drums till I was kind of 13. There was always drums around. You'd always pick up some sticks and have a go. But really, I guess it was the Army Cadet Force initially that got me into the drum side of where I am now. And then that transcended from snare drum into kick drum.
Wow.
So I was a side drummer for the Army Cadets from 13 to 17.
Wow.
And then by then I'd transcended from being a snare drummer through into kick drum. I'd moved to senior school. And then really that was when the kick drum really started to take a forefront in what I wanted to do.
Well, let's tell the viewers that now you're a percussionist. You play the drums in one of the most popular party bands in the country. But we'll come to that later on. So you got onto the drums. Then what happened?
Yeah. Then we kind of started a school band. That was kind of loads of fun. At that point, the lads that I started the band with, they were like best mates. And they knew all the songs that each other they were the school year, almost the same age, but the school year below me, and they came in knowing they knew the songs each other. They were playing two guitars, taking it in turns to play rhythm and lead. So I just was like, this is a great opportunity for us to have a band, so I'll just play drums. And then I decided to take up drum lessons at school with the late great Ian Hodgson. He got me through my drum grades. And then just kind of kept on, really.
So you must have been in some bands, and was you ever resident anywhere?
No, strangely. So here's the next kind of chapter in my life. I left the Army Cadets as a cadet, took a little bit of time off from that, but then went back as an instructor. Then whilst I was an instructor, I went to Fox's Music, which was then on Clough Road, to see Pete Allison, bless him, and to ask him. I needed some parts for the cadets' side drums. We were doing some repairs, and he said, "Oh, look, you need to go. There's a new guy. He's opening a shop on Beverley Road. You need to go and see him." So I called off to see Philo. Yeah, and we became friends. I then became his employee, and then moved on, and I took over the business when he stood down. So that's that side of how those things that happened. So then I was very much involved. Obviously, once it was a dream job for me. I was a drummer, and there was a drum shop in Hull. So to go and work for Phil in the early days was like, this is a great opportunity. And then the opportunity arose Phil decided he wanted to move on, and myself and a couple of others carried on with the business. And we had that. Well, I had the business until 2017 when I closed the door on Beverley Road and moved just to the studio at Wincolm Lee.
Wow. So you were, I think I went in the shop and saw you there then.
You will have done, I'm sure. I was there from late until 2017.
Is that when you had hair?
Yeah.
Bloody hell.
I had a Mohican at one point.
I
But
think
I've had it all. Now I've got none. I won't be growing it back, don't worry.
So that was a really good shop, that. I think he had a studio at the back as well, didn't he?
We had teaching facilities, and then the teaching side of things got so busy that we encroached into the shop.
Oh.
We built another 2 teaching studios in what was the rear section of the shop. So the front section of the shop, and then we had Martin Hyde. Well, right at the beginning, we had Ian Hodgson, who taught me, but then he fell ill. And then we had Mike Wright for a bit. We had Bobby Oretchiger, who used to come from Sheffield on a Friday. And then Martin Hyde joined us, and Martin's still with me now, teaching drums.
God. So you still teach drums then, do you?
I don't teach. No. You don't want me let loose.
I know, I can imagine. So that's a really interesting story, that, because I bet not a lot of people know that, about you, Simon, because I bet you're a bit of a dark horse. And then from closing the shop then, because you was next to Blakey, weren't you, as well? And
so there was me, Blakey and Tony.
And Tony,
the 3
yeah.
of us,
Yeah.
Which is now a butcher's, a tanning shop and a bakery.
All owned by Asians.
I think it's a mismatch of people, I think, down there now.
I asked Tony Beastie if he'd come on here, but he said it's not for me. So I understand. It's not for everybody. It's kind of like a quiet, inverted person. But anyway, you closed the shop. What happened?
Yeah, moved. Music retail was just, it's such a tough job.
Yes.
It really is such a tough job. I couldn't keep it where it had to be. So I just decided it was right to shut the doors. I moved the teaching side of things over to the chocolate factory, which I'd had since 2000 anyway. So there was room there to do that. So we still teach. We're still teaching 4 or 5 days a week.
Fantastic.
Both drums and guitar.
Wow. Where is that, Simon? Where is it?
That's on Wincolm Lee.
Really?
So it's an old grain warehouse that's been converted over time.
That's cool. There's a lot of not down Wincolm Lee. I think there's a lot of studios and that round there. Rehearsal rooms, isn't there?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have the rehearsal. So I've got rehearsal facilities for bands, and then I'm just a landlord, really. I sub it out to a recording studio or a band that want to lock in, or obviously now we have the teaching, so it's quite good. It'll never make any money, but at least there's somewhere for musicians to go.
That's really good, and that's what this podcast is all about: helping each other, learning from each other. And what you're doing is awesome. So, at what point did you start Rapture?
Well, I never started Rapture. So not everybody, but a lot of people believe, because I'm so much now in the forefront of the band.
Yes.
And I manage the band, I run the band, I am the band, but I never started Rapture. So I was in an outfit with some other local musicians that we'd put together to try and do something a little bit different. And we struggled to get the correct vocalist for the project. And looking back at that now, we really wanted 4 vocalists to do the job, because we were covering everything from 60s pop to his rap to his rock. So that it was a 4-spot show. The amazing Dan Foster had put all this together with segues and everything, and we'd worked with people on costume changes and backing dancers, and it was going to be such a great thing. But we couldn't get the vocalist to do all of that. It was such a big ask. So anyway, that fell by the wayside. I'd already been depping for Rapture, which was, at the time, was Garvey, Andy Jones, Col James, and Lynette Cohn, and Gary Vann was the drummer. And Gary was real busy at work. So they were getting gigs and he wasn't being able to suffice them. I was in rehearsal, so gigging wasn't a problem for me to dep. So I started depping with Rapture, and then it come to the point where we decided that we weren't going to do this 4-spot show. We couldn't find the right members. So I then went to, and at that point, I was doing more gigs in Rapture than the drummer. And I'd said to both, well, Ian and Andy were really running the band at the time, and I said, look, I'm going to need to look for a gig, a full-time gig. We are going to be doing this theatre show. I can't just be your dep. I want a full-time position. Now, if Gary wants to stand down, I'll more than happily be your drummer. But I understand if he wants to keep it. But if he wants to keep the job, you're going to need to find another dep, because I'm going to either form a band or join a band. I want a full-time position. Anyway, Gary said, look, I can't really commit. I've got a lot of work commitments, family commitments. So I took the job. And I said, I remember saying to Ian and Andy, who pretty much run the band, I said, look, I don't want any responsibility. I just want to come. You know where this is going. I just want to come. I'm going to turn up. I'll play the shows. I'll give you 100%. We can rehearse at my place. Whatever, sorted. That didn't last very long at all. I started, because I like to get involved. I started booking some shows. We moved over. We got a really good agent. We started doing some weddings and stuff.
Is that
and
the agent that you've got now? Sorry to interrupt.
No, that's a different agent. So I worked for Duncan Wood. Initially, we worked for McLeod, doing clubs when there were more clubs than there are now, and some pubs, and some of our own gigs. Then we worked for Duncan for quite some time, but again, doing our own and doing what Duncan gave us, like whatever. And the wedding market became quite saturated, and Facebook became a marketing tool that wasn't the best for a band that wanted to command an amount of money. And this is I think live music's amazing, but I think everything has its place in the marketplace, and there are some amazing pub bands, amazing club bands, amazing function bands, amazing party bands, amazing corporate bands. Once those boundaries start to get grey and get murky, people don't understand that, if a pub band wants to earn 300, 400, 500 quid on a Saturday night, trying to explain to a client that you're £1,500 on a Saturday night for their wedding or their function, it's really difficult, because they know now with Facebook that they can get, those lads for 400 quid, and trying to explain the difference. So at that point, I decided that I needed something else. And then we looked into the holiday park circuit, where again, the money is the money. It's not amazing, but there's loads of work. So you're going to work. And the good thing is, when you start doing 7, 8, 9, 10 nights on the bounce, your product becomes really, really slick, because you're getting paid.
Yeah.
Or you're not paid to rehearse, but you're getting paid to perform every night. You get very good very quick, or very polished very quick. So that's what we did. So we went out on the holiday park circuit. I mean, I should have had these statistics for you today, but I don't know. And somebody asked me, how many members has there been in Rapture? And there's been a few. I mean, off the top of my head, I don't know how many, but there has been quite a few.
Right.
And, I guess you expect it with a job that has such a large body of work. It is hard to say to people, I want you almost every weekend, and I want you most of the summer.
Simon, was Anthony Jackson in the band at one?
No. So Anthony, here's what's really interesting. So
he won't come on here either.
Oh, he will.
He won't. He said that I'll get put in prison for what I have to say.
He might, to be fair, but he can do it from one of them roaming IP addresses.
He's a right character. I like him.
He is. So now I'm going to go back. This is early thousands, I think. Okay. I'm hopeless with dates.
Right.
So at the time I was in Rapture, I'm going to say, I think it was Andy, Ian, Sam Harland on bass, Sophie Deering on vocals, and then Ant came to me and said, I want to do a project. We were both working for Duncan. So he was with Night Train with
Right.
Ian and Leanne.
And Leanne,
So Leanne that's with us now.
Yeah.
So Ian Mills, he was in the trio at the time, so which was Anthony, Ian, and Leanne, and they were working for Duncan.
Yeah.
And I was working for Duncan. And he said, I want to do a side project. Are you interested? I've got this singer. Found this male singer. He's amazing. So I went, all right. I said, I'll come and look at him. No word of a lie. Dave will laugh about this. So I turned up at Cleveland Club. I was at the studio. It was on a Thursday night, I think. I drove over then Chapman Street Bridge when you could drive over Chapman Street Bridge. I turned up at Cleveland Club, and there was a guy sat in the corner with Ant, just in a tracksuit, just looked like he couldn't be bothered. And I'm like, and Ant's like, brought me out. This is going to be like really cool. And I'm like, why have you brought me out here? So anyway, and I met Dave and he shook my hand and he's like, oh, yeah, nice to meet you. Again, didn't really seem overly excited about anything. And then he cleared off. He said, I better go. I've got to go on stage. He cleared off. He went in the dressing room, put a suit on, come out, floored me.
Really?
So this is Dave Lee, Dave Evenden. Absolutely. He doesn't sing anymore.
Oh.
He knocked it on the head. So we did I don't know, we maybe did 8. Ant would tell you better. There was probably 8 or 10 years we did.
Wow.
Away from weekends, there was always like a Thursday night or a Sunday night, or we'd ticket an event, we'd do whatever. And that was a band called the Anthill Mob. Oh. So that had me, Ant Jackson, Ian Mills, Dave on vocal, Leanne on second vocal and trumpet, Rick Davis on sax from Soul Patrol, Dan Foster, who was with me in Rapture, the keys player. Yeah, that was it. So there's 7 of us.
Wow.
Brilliant band. And we did all the stuff. Well, I mean, I guess we didn't do any stuff really that Rapture do, but we did stuff that you're not expected to hear. So we did all those big...
Let's fast forward a bit, because time's moving on. And I want this to be really interesting, which it is. You're in Rapture now. You've got Leanne.
Yeah.
Got Bryn. You've got, who else?
Richard Banks.
Right.
Yeah.
And currently you're one of the hottest bands in the country. I've seen you at John's wedding, John Brown's wedding. Bloody awesome. You're a right extrovert. You get out in there with the bass and you climb on bloody furniture. And
I don't mind.
Not much of that around nowadays, what I call entertainment value. You know, you go see a band and they're stood there musically and technically, they're bloody awesome. But once you watch them, they're the same for every song, you know. But you're not like that at all, you know.
No.
Leanne, you're all dancing. I don't know where you get the energy from. You're up in the audience. I'm looking around, where's Sam? You stood up on some table somewhere playing the bass. And this is what I think is why you're, apart from your technical skills and your entertainment value and your singing and everything, it's just what you hit the nail on the head, what people want.
Yeah, I think this has grown over time. You know, Rapture's had many different guises as anything that's lasted over 20 years.
Yeah.
It's going to go through a process to get where it needs to be.
Yeah.
And I've always said, and I do believe this, if I could sing, and I mean really sing, your likes of the people you've had on, your likes of your Rick Owens, if I could really sing, I would be dangerous. Like, I've always watched people and thought, you know, they've got such a great... But, I mean, to be fair, I saw Rick at Rich Wilkie's birthday party, and he's a real exception to the rule. He's got that star quality. He knows how to put on a performance. I think a lot of people are scared to entertain.
Yes.
They spend a little bit too much time worrying about, is it an A minor or is it an A minor 7? And have I dropped a bum note? I can't drop a bum note. I don't care.
Yeah, you're absolutely right. You're absolutely right, and that is the case. You know, people want to be perfectionists, and they focus on their entertainment value. You know, people want to be entertained nowadays.
I've always said I am not in the music industry. I am in the entertainment industry.
Right, I understand. And
I've always said that.
there'll be a clip on this video at the beginning that people can watch. And one thing I say is go see Rapture. You do play a lot around Hull at the moment. You're quite popular.
Well, funnily enough, we've just finished our leg of Hull dates.
Right.
So we've got one left to play. We're having the whole of February off.
Oh.
I know. Oh, two of us in the band are having operations. So we're all right. Everything's cool. But we just need a little bit of healthcare to keep us in check.
I understand.
And everything's all right. And all being well, we're going to be back at the Sun on the 1st of March.
Okay.
And then that's our last gig in locally, I believe, probably until after the summer.
Simon, moving on, you travel extensively.
Yeah.
How do you do it? How do you sit in a van for 7 and 12 hours?
Well, this is down back to personnel. It's not. I mean, all of the members that we've had, past and present, have all been at a gigging standard, without a doubt, and we've all had a great working relationship. But it takes a special person to spend more time with my co-workers than you do with your family. You know, and that's a real difficult thing to do. It's a real good balance. But I've always understood the difficulty of people spending time away from their family, and always tried to make the job as easy as you can. So we've always got information. We always know the loading. We always know the performance times. We know where we're sleeping. We sometimes don't know where we're sleeping, but the majority of the time, we know where we're going to be. We know what we're going to be doing. And that makes for a really, everybody knows, so they can let the family know. It's important. You know, that's the key, I think, to keeping the band on the road.
And you've got a real good agent that really, really markets you well, sells you well.
Mark's amazing at LDN. He's I mean, he has to put up with me for a start. But we've had I've worked for him now for well over 10 years. And we've built up a real strong, you know, he saw us at a showcase where we'd gone to a showcase, I'd paid for it. We'd just gone to perform, and Mark come to us and said, yeah, we'd like you, we'd like to work here. So he started, we did a few. And then it was like, oh, we're travelling and we're not travelling. And then all of a sudden I took the plunge and we're now travelling. We do all the work and we earn the money.
So the question I was going to ask is, do you earn the money? Because not all that glitters is gold.
No, you're right. And I can't get the Lambo out every weekend.
Right, okay. I understand.
We're never going to be rich.
Yeah.
We're never going to be rich. But I look at people that are working, and again, we only work 150 days of the year. So this is the other thing that I've always looked at. I've never looked at one gig. I've always looked at the year end. How much am I going to earn this year? Am I going to have to do a gig for not a lot of money? If I do that gig for not a lot of money, I'm going to earn some money from that gig from another gig. It's always about being seen in the public eye, letting people know what you're doing. And we do okay.
And enjoying yourself.
Yeah. I'm not out working in the rain, not only loading and load out. I'm not out, I'm not doing something I don't want to do. I'm not unhappy, sat at a desk, doing a desk job. You look at all these people that go, but pro rata, if I could, I don't know what a working person works. If you're working 5 days a week, I guess they work 250 days of the year, I guess, maybe. So pro rata, the money's good enough. 2 of our lads pretty much you can live on it. It's below minimum wage. It's below the national recommended income, whatever, for a person. So you can definitely live on it, and you can live a basic life.
Well,
obviously we all have other irons in fires, and that allows us to live the lives we live.
I'm sure the viewers understand a lot from this podcast because you've explained a lot for those people that maybe want to get into this business doing what you've done. You've given a lot of good advice, and I think that's how it should be. We should help each other. And every time I've asked you for help, no question. Yeah, no problem.
But I know I've heard of stories, people not necessarily about advice or about information or whatever, but about, like maybe a guitar lick that somebody had hidden and nobody wants to show you the guitar lick. I'm like that. You're going to put your own take on that anyway, like the advice that I've ever given anybody or the advice that people have given me.
Yeah.
You're always going to take that and then do your own thing with it.
Yep, they are.
But if anybody's out there going, I want to get into the music industry, then I would say do it.
Yeah.
There's no better industry to be in.
Second that. So on that note, Simon, as much as I'd like to talk to you all night, you're a very, very interesting fellow. We'll have to do another one.
Anytime.
It's really great of you to come on here and give away some of the secrets, explain to the viewers what you're doing and how you're doing it. I'm really pleased. And a couple of episodes on, we've got one of your colleagues, Alan Eccles, which is everybody knows as Bryn from Housequake.
Yeah.
He'll be on here. Let's have Leanne as well, because I've known Leanne for a long time. So
she would love to come on, I'm sure.
Right. We'll have to get Leanne. I remember her from Night Train. I can tell you some stories about that.
Of course, because you'll be DJing then. Yeah.
Yes. Everywhere I went, they was there.
Yeah.
Say no more. You know what I mean.
I know what you mean.
On behalf of the podcast, on behalf of me, on behalf of the viewers watching this, I'm sure people have taken away some great tips and advice. Keep up doing what you're doing. Thanks for supporting Hull, and let's see you again sometimes. On behalf of me.
Anytime, Sean. It's been a pleasure. Thank you for having me.
Thank you very much, Simon.
Take care.